Hi everyone, Meg with Truvy here. Welcome back to our YouTube channel where we teach you the best resources for English and your ASVAB study prep sessions. So as you know from the title, today we're on class number 4 of our 10 class series ASVAB prep sessions. Today we are going to be focusing on science, all things science. Keep in mind this is a broad video, and to get more out of your ASVAB study sessions and to prep even better before your exams, please schedule some private Zoom call classes with us. We offer great resources to you and we have the best teachers. They're American and many have taken the ASVAB test themselves, so you are able to ensure that you will get your best score, which means that you'll probably be getting a better job within the military. If you see this guy around in the videos, his name is Mo. He's my cat and he always likes to get in the way, so sometimes I have to pause to push him off of me. But anyways, let's continue on. As I said, today we are working on science. Let me bring you through the main topics of today's lessons. You'll see them pop up on the screen as we go through. Today we're going to focus on physics, chemistry, biology, and earth science. These 4 main areas are the areas that you will be tested on during the ASVAB exam. I want you to know that the ASVAB exam asks about 11 to 25 questions in science, depending on which version you get. All of them are a bit different, so you never really know exactly what you're going to get, but it is very important that you get the best score possible on this part, and many of it is memorization. So just watching these videos and learning as much as you can is imperative. Before we get going, please subscribe to our channel so you can get all the latest access to the newest ASVAB review sessions and our English classes. If you subscribe, it would mean the world to us because we're working really hard to grow this channel and it's been a journey so far. All right, so part 1 is just going to consist of biology. You'll be seeing different diagrams of cells, animals, plants, many different biological things pop up on the screen. And as I talk you through it, you'll see some arrows pop up and they'll point you at the right parts of each type of organism that I show you. So first, we have cell structure and function. We have the nucleus, which is right there. We have the mitochondria, which is there, and the cell membrane. What I want you to know is the nucleus is like the brain of the cell. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and the cell membrane protects the cell. It keeps it safe. It's kind of like armor on your military gear. All right, the next is genetics and heredity. So we have DNA and dominant and recessive traits. I'm going to explain the difference between dominant and recessive traits to you, but first let's talk about DNA. DNA is what we're all made up of. It's what makes us special. So on your phone, when you put your fingerprint on it to log in, or it scans your retina, that's because of your DNA. Everyone has a slightly different composition and a slightly different makeup. But what are dominant and recessive genes or dominant and recessive traits? Dominant traits I want you to think of as like a big boss. They always win the fight. Recessive traits are very shy. They're quiet. It's harder for them to win. Let me give you a real life example. So if you have parents and one has brown eyes and one has blue eyes, brown eyes are typically dominant and blue eyes are recessive. It's very difficult to have a blue-eyed child out of a brown-eyed and blue-eyed couple. So what I want you to keep in mind is that this is not 100%. At times the recessive can come out on top, but it's much more common if someone has a partner that is blue-eyed and they're blue-eyed, that they will have a blue-eyed child as well. So just keep in mind, brown-eyed is dominant, blue-eyed is recessive. Dominant means it's more powerful, recessive means it's a little shy. That's all you need to know. The next part is human body systems. So we have 4 main human body systems. You'll see all 4 pop up on the screen at once. We have the digestive, which breaks down foods. We have the circulatory, which transports oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. We have the respiratory, which intakes the oxygen. And we have the nervous system, which allows you to feel. That's all you need to know. If you want to go more in depth on all this, please enroll in our classes. Click the link in our bio, truvy.org. Okay, the next part is ecosystems and food chains. So we have the producers, the consumers, and the decomposers. You'll see a picture on the screen pop up with one producer, one consumer, and one decomposer. So I want you to imagine an ecosystem is like a big team where every plant and animal has a job to keep nature working. Producers are like the chefs. They make all of their own food using sunlight. like plants and trees. This process is called photosynthesis. Please make sure you know this, photosynthesis. Then we have the consumers. Those are like the eaters. They can't make their own food, so they eat other plants or animals, like rabbits, like us, and like lions. And then we have the decomposers, and they're like the cleanup crew, the people that clean up after the party. So they break down all the dead plants, and they eat all the animals into tiny little pieces, and they put the nutrients all back into the soil, like worms and mushrooms. This whole process from the producer, the consumer, to the decomposer is called the cycle of life. It just repeats over and over and over and over. Our bodies come from this, and then they go back to it once we die. Then when we're born, we come back in, go back to it. So everything is a cycle of life. And also, everything is connected in a food chain. Plants feed animals, animals feed other animals, and decomposers clean it all up to help the new plants grow. Just like the cycle of life. All right, so now you'll see on your screen, we have the ASVAB question example. Which organ system is responsible for transporting oxygen and nutrients throughout the body? This is the circulatory system. This one brings around in your veins and your arteries, and it will bring around all of the oxygen and the nutrients to all the other parts of your body. It doesn't break down everything, it brings it around, it circulates it. The next part is chemistry. We're going to start with the basic atomic structure of an atom. An atom is made up of 3 things: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Super easy to remember. The P for protons means they're positive. The N for neutrons means they're neutral. They don't have anything. And the E for electrons means they're negative. So that's all you need to know for that part. Again, if you want to go more in depth, enroll in classes with us. So now we have the states of matter, which you should know: solids, liquids, and gases. We have chemical reactions. We have the reactants, the products, and conservation of mass. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about this like we're baking a cake. This is a metaphor. As you see on the screen, someone is baking a cake. So first, they're putting in the flour, the sugar, the eggs. These are the reactants. And then this is going to have a chemical reaction when these reactants mix and change into something new. So when you put it in the oven, it has a chemical reaction, and the new product is going to be cake. That's the new thing you get after the reaction. And now conservation of mass is the total amount of stuff stays the same before and after the reaction. Nothing is lost or gained. So with batter, in like a cake mix, that's called the batter, what's there before you bake it. So with the batter, it might be denser and a little less, and then with the cake, it might rise and be fluffier. It's still the same amount of mass, even though more air has been added. So that's called conservation of mass. So now we're going to talk about acids, bases, and the pH scale. Acids are things that taste sour like lemon and can make things fizz. They have a low pH below 7. Bases, as you can see on the diagram, are on the far other side, and they're things that taste bitter and feel slippery like soap. They have a high pH above 7. And the pH scale, from what you can see, goes from 0 to 14, and it shows how acidic or basic something is. 0 to 6 is acidic, 7 is neutral, which is water, and 8 to 14 is basic. So your common ASVAB question for this section is, what is the smallest unit of an element that retains its properties? What was that little unit I said that had 3 different parts? It's called an atom. They have a proton, neutron, and electron. All in one together is an atom. All right, part 3, physics. It's getting exciting. So in this section, we are going to be focusing on Newton's laws of motion first. This is inertia, force, and action and reaction. All I want you to do is remember this one quote. This has 3 different parts of Newton's laws of motion. Objects stay in motion or rest unless acted on. That's the first part. Force equals mass times acceleration. That's the second part. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's the third part. That's all I want you to know for Newton's laws of motion. You'll probably only get 1 or 2 questions on that, but it is important to know. Your basic energy types, you have 3: kinetic, potential, and thermal. Kinetic energy is energy of motion, like a moving car or a running person. And then potential energy is stored energy, like a rock on top of a hill or a stretched out rubber band. And thermal energy is energy from heat caused by the movement of tiny little particles. Like when something gets really hot, you see the water boil. That's thermal energy. And now simple machines. We've got a lever, a pulley, and an inclined plane. First, you'll see the lever pop up on the screen. It's a simple machine that helps lift heavy things by using a bar that pivots on a point. This one is a seesaw. That's a great example. When I was a kid, I used to love riding on the seesaw. The next one is a pulley, and it's a wheel with a rope or a chain that helps lift things, making it easy to move heavy loads. Like a flagpole, that's a pulley. We raise the flag up and we put it down, a pulley. And now finally we have an inclined plane. It's a slanted surface that makes it easy to move things up or down, like this ramp. So instead of having stairs into the house, you have a ramp into the house. This is common for people with disabilities. And final section of this physics part, we have speed, velocity, and acceleration. Speed is how fast something is moving without caring about what direction. It's just how fast. 60 miles an hour. You guys all know that. If you live in America, maybe you go, 40 kilometers per hour instead somewhere else if you're in another country. And then we have velocity. This is speed with direction, like 60 miles an hour north, 60 miles an hour south. That's velocity. Then we have acceleration. It's how quickly something's speed or direction changes, like a car speeding up or turning. So those are the three different parts of physics: speed, velocity, acceleration. So our common ASVAB question for the physics section is a math problem. So if a car travels 60 miles in 1.5 hours, what is the average speed? Speed equals distance over time. So speed equals 60 miles an hour divided by 1.5 hours is 40 miles per hour. So that's what your answer is going to be there. All right, part 4, Earth and Space Science. I love this section. I find it so interesting, especially with the space science. I think it's great. So let's go through that. First, we have the 3 layers of the Earth. We have the crust, the mantle, and the core. Take a look at the diagram. That's all you need to know from this. Next part, we have weather versus climate. Weather is the daily conditions like temperature, rain, wind in a specific place. It can change a lot. One day it's sunny, one day it's rainy. Climate is average weather patterns over a period of time for a specific region. So in New England, we have a climate that changes a lot in the Boston area. So it's cold, it's warm throughout different seasons. The weather here changes day to day too. But some places, like I was just in Barbados, it's a very calm climate. It's typically always the same because it's close to the equator. The farther away from the equator you get, typically the more crazy the climate and the weather is going to be. Now we have the solar system basics. We have the planets, the moon phases, and gravity. So we have 8 main planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. I like to include Pluto because I think it's important, but some people don't include Pluto. It's questionable. But that's the last one. That would be number 9, but technically it's not a planet. We have our moon phases. There are also 8 moon phases. We have, as you can see on the screen, we have our new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent. What I want you to really focus on from this is that the moon has a strong effect on the tides in our ocean. Based on where the moon is and what phase it's in, it affects the tides in our ocean. And this moon cycle repeats every 29.5 days. Next, we have natural resources and conservation. All I want you to know are the 5 most common natural resources in the world: water, coal, oil, natural gas, and timber. Those are the 5 most common. And your common ASVAB question for this part is, which layer of the Earth is responsible for tectonic plate movement? Tectonic plates are the things that move and create earthquakes, or they push together and create mountains, or deep valleys and crevasses. And the area of the Earth that's responsible for that is the mantle, which is the middle layer. Now we're on to part 3 of our ASVAB practice science video. So we've reviewed all the information for today, and now we are going to be taking a short 10-question quiz together. You'll see the quiz questions pop up on the screen, and as we go through them, I'll be giving you the answer on the spot. I'll give you around 5 to 10 seconds to think about the answer. You should know them from this video, and if you don't, it's a great review. Our first question is for biology. What part of the cell is responsible for producing energy? Remember, there was one that I said was the powerhouse of the cell. Is it the nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes, or the Golgi apparatus? Well, I remember I didn't teach you anything about the Golgi apparatus or ribosomes, so let's cross those two out. The nucleus, I said, was the brain. That doesn't produce energy. I said the mitochondria was the powerhouse of the cell. So the answer is B, mitochondria. Next one, chemistry. In a chemical reaction, what is formed when reactants interact? Is it A, energy, B, products, C, elements, or D, solutions? So when two things interact, what does it typically form? Does it form energy, elements, products, solutions? I would say something that's formed is a product, and the answer is B, product. Question number 3, physics. Which of the following is a unit of force? I didn't necessarily teach you this one, but you did hear about these laws of motion. A, a joule, B, a Newton, C, a watt, D, Pascal. Let's go with B, Newton. That is the one that had the laws of motion, Newton laws of motion. Number 4, Earth and space science. Which planet is known as the red planet? I also didn't teach you this one, but it is important to know random little facts like this. Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. The answer is B, Mars. It's red. Shocking. Okay, 5, biology. Which of the following is a characteristic of all living organisms? A, the ability to reproduce. B, the ability to fly. C, the ability to photosynthesize. Or D, the ability to digest food. Let's go through and think about ourselves. We'll start at the bottom. The ability to digest food. Does every living organism have a stomach? Thinking of plants here. Technically, no. So let's cross that one out. Ability to photosynthesize. Do you photosynthesize as a human being? Probably not, so we're going to cross that one out. And then we have B, the ability to fly. Can you fly as a human being? Physically? No. So we're going to cross that out. And then we have A, the ability to reproduce. Yes, ability to reproduce is the main characteristic of all living organisms. Okay, number 6, chemistry. Which element is most commonly found in organic compounds? A, oxygen, B, nitrogen, C, carbon, or D, hydrogen. I didn't teach you this either, and I know you probably think it's oxygen, but it's carbon. Everyone is made up of carbon. The stars, the planet, everything is made up of carbon. That's like our basic element. Physics. What type of energy is stored in an object due to its position or condition? Kinetic energy, thermal energy, potential energy, or mechanical energy? So we didn't review this too in depth, but think about stored. If something is stored, it's not moving yet. So I wouldn't say it's kinetic, thermal, or mechanical because those are all in action. Potential would mean not yet. So potential energy is your answer. It means it could be used, it has the ability to be used, but it's not being used yet. Number 8, Earth and space science. What layer of the Earth is responsible for creating its magnetic field? A, the inner core, B, the outer core, C, the mantle, or D, the crust? B, the outer core. We didn't go through this before, but just another fun tip that you probably should know. Number 9, biology. What process do plants use to make their own food? Respiration, fermentation, photosynthesis, or digestion? I remember I told you guys this. Let's start from the bottom. Digestion. Do plants digest their food? No, they don't have a stomach. Let's check letter A. Respiration. Do plants breathe? Technically, no. Fermentation. No, they're not fermenting. That's like kombucha. That's not how they're getting their nutrients. And then the answer is C, photosynthesis. That's how plants are making their own food, through photosynthesis. That's the exposure to light. Okay, number 10, chemistry. Which of the following is a chemical change? Melting ice, boiling water, burning wood, or freezing water? So remember, the chemical change is when something goes from one thing to another. Melting ice, that's still water going into another form of water, just from a solid to a liquid, so no. Boiling water, that's going from a liquid to a gas, still the same, water, no. Burning wood. Burning is a chemical reaction. It's taking a solid, turning it into something else that's going into a gas. So yes, burning wood. All right, so that's it for our ASVAB study session. I can't wait to hear in the comments about how you did on our practice quiz. Let me know if you were able to pause the video, kind of guess the answers on your own. Please leave your feedback below and please subscribe so you can see the rest of the videos in this study session. We have 6 more ASVAB videos to deliver for you, and then at the end we'll make an 11th practice video with everything combined. You could sit and watch it and see them all at the same time. So I have 3 main wrap-up and study strategies for you. The first one is to create flashcards. Write down some of these fun facts, and on the other side, write the answers. It'll be very beneficial to you. Number 2 is to rewatch this video and watch channels such as National Geographic on basics about the Earth. What I recommend is to watch National Geographic Kids. That is a great channel that explains things at the very basic level, and that's all you really need to know. And then finally, I recommend you enroll in private sessions with us. Our teachers are specially trained to help you get a great grade on the ASVAB exam, which ensures that you get the best job in the military possible. The higher you score, the better your military career can be. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, as well as YouTube here. We are on all those different platforms, and we give English tips every single day on all of them. All right, have a great day, guys. Bye. All right, you're going to have to lay down. What? He just jumped and, looked me in the eyes. I don't know why he does this, only when I film.